What's up, everyone? I'm doing a live stream on the U.S.S. Arizona BB-39. U.S.S. Arizona is a 31,400-ton Pennsylvania-class battleship built at the New York Navy Yard in Brooklyn, New York. She was commissioned in October of 1916. After a shakedown off the East Coast and in the Caribbean, she operated out of Norfolk, Virginia until November 1918, when she made a brief cruise to France. She made a second cruise to European waters from April to June of 1919, proceeding as far east as Turkey. During much of 1920 to 21, the battleship was in the Western Atlantic and Caribbean areas, but paid 2 visits to Peru in 1921 in her first excursions into the Pacific. From August 1921 until 1929, Arizona was based in Southern California, making occasional cruises to the Caribbean or Hawaii during major U.S. fleet exercises. In 1929 to 1931, U.S.S. Arizona was modernized at the Norfolk Navy Yard, Portsmouth, Virginia, emerging with a radically altered appearance and major improvements to her armament and protection. In March 1931, she transported President Herbert Hoover and his party to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. In August of that year, Arizona returned to the Pacific, continuing her operations with the battle fleet during the next decade. From 1940, she and the other Pacific Fleet battleships were based at Pearl Harbor on the orders of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So before I get into this next part, Arizona has the top of turrets number 1, number 2, and number 3 painted red. That's because she was the flagship of Battleship Division 1. Her armament consists of 4 turrets, 3 guns each, and she has 14-inch rifles. Now, what you see in-game is how she looked during her... How she looks in-game is after her 1931 modernization. So, if we look up by the bow, you'll notice some interesting cutouts. That's where her secondary batteries originally were during World War I. However, during her modernization, her secondaries were raised one deck above, which is how you see them now. She had, in terms of anti-aircraft, she had a few quad 1.1 Chicago piano anti-aircraft guns. She has a few 5-inch anti-aircraft guns, and at the top, just atop of that aft mast, you'll see water-cooled 50 caliber machine guns. She did take part in fleet exercises, so let's see. So with the 1.1s, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that it? Is it just 4? Yep, just 4. So, like I said, she's a 31,400 ton Pennsylvania class battleship. Her hull number is 39, so her sister, Pennsylvania, is hull number 38. And it's interestingly enough that her sister was in dry dock during the attack on Pearl Harbor. So Pennsylvania came out with little to no damage, basically. Okay. Arizona was moored in Pearl Harbor's Battleship Row on the morning of December 7th, 1941, when aircraft from Japanese carriers attacked. She was hit by several bombs, one of which penetrated her forecastle. Okay, so basically all it did is that it went down through the deck between turrets 1 and turret 2. And it penetrated all the way down to her powder magazine. And it detonated the powder bags and the 14-inch shells that she had on board. The result was a massive explosion, totally wrecking the ship's forward hull, collapsing her forward superstructure, and causing her to sink with the loss of 1,177 crewmen and officers. In the following months, okay, so before I get into that, there's a famous photo of her forecastle, which is like the conning tower, bridge, whole upper superstructure just above her smokestack. So what happened was when the magazines exploded, it caused the decks to basically collapse in on themselves. And that gave it a 45-degree angle, and she burnt for like 3 days afterwards. And the Navy thought about salvaging her, as in the whole ship, but due to the magazine explosion, there was a massive crack in her hull. So let's say if the Navy was to raise her, her entire forward bow section would just break off. And so they thought it would just be easy and basically morally humane to just leave her there as a war memorial in the grave of 1,177. In the following months, much of her armament and topside structure was removed. Yes, actually, that is true. With the two aft triple 14-inch gun turrets being transferred to the Army for emplacement as coastal defense batteries on Oahu. So, yes and no in that regard. A few of her gun barrels were put on the battleship Nevada. So, in a way, she did see action in World War II, but not physically. Turrets, so when they were doing the salvaging operation, turret 2 is actually still in place. They just cut open the top of it and removed the three 14-inch rifles. Turret 1 is actually still there. See, following the explosion, they actually thought that turret 1 was completely and utterly destroyed, but turret 1 is actually still on the ship. Turrets 3 and 4 were removed, and there's a famous photo of turret 4's barbette still above water, and it's generally, it's like, I'm not going to say that that's how they're interred. The survivors who, when a few of them did pass, that's how they chose to be reunited with their shipmates. But I mean, her number 4 barbette is still above water. The wrecked battleship's hull remained where she sank, a tomb for many of those lost with her. In 1950, she began to be used as a site for memorial ceremonies, and in the early 60s, a handsome memorial structure was constructed over her midships hull. This U.S.S. Arizona Memorial, operated by the National Park Service, is a permanent shrine to those Americans who lost their lives in the attack on Pearl Harbor and in the Great Pacific War that began there. So, when it comes to the Arizona, I mean, first and foremost, she wasn't even meant to be at Pearl Harbor when Pearl Harbor was attacked. She actually collided with the U.S.S. Oklahoma, who is another Pearl Harbor fatality, but I'll go into her in a different video. She collided with Oklahoma, and there's a famous painting of Arizona with the repair ship Vestral, trying to do like a few patchworks and get her underway to the States for extensive repair work. So she wasn't meant to be there. The bombs that she was hit with, they basically bounced off turret 4 and either landed in the ocean or, yeah. Now the bomb that penetrated her forward decks was made from a improved 16-inch battleship round. So take with that as you will. Like I said, this is how she looked during the attack on Pearl Harbor. So this is her final appearance, obviously. There's a motto. She united the U.S. to engage the war in the Pacific, because it was all, in the 1800s we had Remember the Alamo, we had Remember Bunker Hill, Lexington, or Concord. And in the 40s, it was Remember Pearl Harbor, Remember the Arizona. Arizona's loss and the loss of half her crew were made up roughly 50% of the casualties at Pearl Harbor. There were 23 sets of brothers, the entire ship's band, which, yes, believe it or not, at one point, you had bands that played music or band drills on battleships. I mean, they're these large, beautiful fortresses with very large guns. I mean, it's, of course, battleships are no longer active in the Navy anymore, unfortunately. But I mean, so she's a super dreadnought. First and foremost, Arizona is a super dreadnought. She has the standard type armor layout, which means besides the very tip of her bow, she's basically fully armored. Like, it's... Ooh. And so she has... So her rifles, which, I mean, yes, I am going to call them rifles. They're 14-inch, I want to say 38 caliber. So one of the fatalities on the Arizona was the loss of her captain and Rear Admiral Isaac C. Kidd, who was nicknamed Captain Kidd, which there's a Fletcher-class destroyer called the U.S.S. Kidd, DD 661. And that was the only destroyer that was allowed to actually fly a pirate's flag. Because no other because the Navy had to get permission from Isaac C. Kidd's family just to be able to fly that flag on the U.S.S. Kidd. So her speed isn't great. I mean, she's slow, going at about 20, 21 knots. But that's because the Navy had a compromise with, you know,
Brady is ready.
You add more guns, you gotta compensate. Dude, I'm doing a live stream. Thank you. All of you two got to hear your burp. So, I mean, this ship is it's a fantastic ship. Not great, but so the 1.1 Chicago pianos, since I'm gonna get into that topic. Her 1.1s aren't the best, but they're not the worst either.
A destroyer, not again.
Additionally, all 1.1 Chicago quad pianos were replaced on all U.S. battleships during World War II because they just weren't. They couldn't pack the punch that the Navy wanted. I mean, if you like this ship and you want to get it, I mean, this is a ship that I highly, highly recommend getting. I mean, it's... Okay, I really... So, with the sinking of Arizona, you know, she became basically propaganda for the military in World War II. Which, I mean, I don't got a problem with that, you know, everybody was... But the very next day, December 8th, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt declared war on Japan. And I mean, it's with the loss of Arizona, it's like you really can't. I mean, that's 1,177 service members who paid the ultimate price. But I mean, in game, Arizona's not bad. Arizona's an okay ship. Besides ships like maybe HMS Warspite, I mean, she's not bad. She's slow, but she's not bad. So her all or nothing armor scheme, she basically has a armored citadel. And
torpedoes direct front.
Realistically, if she was like taken out of, like, let's say the water,
torpedoes to port.
She's thick. Like, this is a thick girl. And I mean, her
cost me so much gold.
I'm in a bad position here. So, like I said, her secondaries were moved up one deck. Okay, let's focus on New Mexico. In the 60s, actually, either the 60s or the 50s, after Elvis got out of the army, Elvis actually did Jailhouse Rock to raise money. Good night, Edinburgh. Raised money for the Arizona Memorial. I mean, Arizona can take a beating, yes, but that's because you're usually going up against ships with the same armament. So her armor design was, she was basically meant to take hits from ships with the same caliber guns as her. I mean, in a way, this, it's like World War II for the U.S. started with the Arizona. It started at Pearl Harbor. I mean, this ship transported, escorted President Herbert Hoover to the Treaty of Versailles conference in France. So, I mean, it's with that, it's, how can I, so what I mean by she doesn't have the greatest armor, but, at tier 5, it's 25 to 26. Okay, that ain't bad. Actually, also right there, that's actually a torpedo blister. Yes, she was fitted with torpedo blisters. So that is what her hull would look like without said torpedo blister. But you just go and pop, put the torpedo blister on. So, I mean, she doesn't have a bad citadel, but it's slightly above the waterline. So this, while this is a great ship, you definitely don't want to be going broadside. She has 59,200 hit points. Her armor ranges from 13 to 457 millimeters. Her torpedo damage reduction isn't bad, 42%. So she has 4x3, 356, 16 kilometers. Firing range, 35-second reload. Her anti-aircraft armament isn't bad, but it's pretty bad. I mean, she only, we saw, she had 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.1 Chicago P&O anti-aircraft guns, and they're quads. And she has 1, 2, 3, 4 50 caliber water-cooled machine guns. So her anti-aircraft is just, it's pretty bad. So we did lose the first round, but now we're hopping in another round. Okay, we're on fault line. So like I said, besides, let's see, Ark Royal, North Carolina. North Carolina is going to be a problem in this. Francis Charculio is going to be a problem, but everybody else I should be able to battle tank. This one's going to be a hindrance because of the Ark Royal, which, yes, they removed the Ark Royal from the game because it was like too overpowered or whatever. Some destroyer players were whining, and they couldn't nerf the ship because it's HMS Ark Royal. It's the carrier that damaged the Bismarck's rudder. It's historical in Great Britain, needless to say. So, Wargaming couldn't nerf it, so they removed it. Because everybody and their mother were crying for a nerf. Get good, people. Okay, North Carolina. So she's a treaty battleship. Ooh. No, she has 16-inch guns. Oh, boy. I'm gonna take one. Okay, so like I said, that torpedo protection came in handy. Okay, so
That turret will cost me so much
right
gold.
there, she knocked out my turret. Well, that right there, I totally forgot that the Atlanta B was a thing. Yeah, so what I'm doing here is the Dreadnought Shuffle. Oh, lovely. I'm fine. This is fine. Like I said, she's slow, so it's like you really gotta count your shots.
See that ship? I propose we shoot at her.
Get wrecked. And ooh, okay, that took my health down considerably. I mean, there's just I wasn't able to. Oh. I mean, she does have another camo. Instead of like her Type 9 camo. But I mean, it's with this. So what there, like I said, she made 20 knots. She suffered a magazine detonation at Pearl Harbor that resulted in her total and utter loss. But the ships also sunk at Pearl Harbor. You know what? Let's go and spectate Nelson. The other ships lost were California, West Virginia, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Utah, although Battleship Utah really wasn't in active service. It was more used as a training ship, but I'm still going to count it nonetheless. But so out of all the ships that were raised and eventually re-entered service with the Navy were California, Tennessee, West Virginia, in Pennsylvania and Nevada. The ships lost, and I think Maryland was there as well. Yeah, Maryland was there. And the ships lost were Utah, Oklahoma, and Arizona. I mean, if you want to get her, there's a bundle that you can get in the PlayStation store or Xbox store, depending on what system you're on. That's like $70. Or you can go and drop 40 and get her for 10,000 doubloons in the World of Warship store. but that's up to you. With Arizona, I do recommend William Sims for all your American battleships. You can use Willis Lee and have a brawler bill, which I don't understand the logic behind that, because Willis Lee was actually a Kentucky native sharpshooter. I mean, he was on the battleship North Carolina during the nighttime engagement off Guadalcanal on November 14th of 1942. So I don't understand the logic behind that, but it is what it is. But if you're thinking about getting Arizona, get her. If you want to be able to hit the broadside of a barn with her, get William Sims. Because I know every new player will have George Dewey, and he's not really good for long range accuracy. Like I said, besides Arizona, maybe premium wise, you would have Warspite. Now, if we're going by a tech tree, you have Arizona, New Mexico, Queen Elizabeth, Fuso, Byron, but that's just a few. Welcome to whoever just hopped in the live stream. I basically covered historically wise. I've already gone and covered Arizona and okay. That's alrighty then. That was odd. Okay, well, I know where I'll be.
Prepare the pots of gold.
Nope, still got all. Okay, who's all left? Okay. I mean, if there's a ship you want me to do, like, cover historical wise,
give me fire support.
Put it down in the comments. Although I only got one person watching, but it's alright. I know who they are. and they know who I am. The simple fact that North Carolina isn't paying attention to that Indianapolis is surprising. And we just lost our independence. Hmm.
My gratitude is endless.
Where's our destroyer?
Protect the target.
Okay. Oh, he's all... Wow, dude. Wow. Alright, well, we lost that one. Wow, I'm not getting any good matches tonight. Alrighty then. Most likely I'll jump into a match of AI. And probably afterwards, I'll probably be getting off. Ooh, oh boy. But first, note some of this down, because boy, I know I'm not going to use it anyway. So, I mean, actually, let's see, they ended up doing something with Arizona's superstructure, but I mean, it's like, there was just no way they would have been able to bring her back into active service. The damage was just too severe. Actually, if we go and read the overview, she is agile, above average ability to change direction, sure shot, shells with a good ballistic trajectory, maintain velocity, making aiming easier. Slow, below average maximum movement speed. Now first and foremost, she is a super dreadnought. Arizona, a U.S. Navy battleship with a conventional layout with 2 turrets forward and 2 aft, and her armor distributed according to the all or nothing concept. She was designed to engage enemy ships at long range. By the outbreak of World War II, their ship received more powerful torpedo protection, which slightly reduced her maneuverability. She entered service in 1916, and there were 2 ships in the series, Pennsylvania being the first and Arizona being the second. Honestly, I think she plays better than New Mexico, which I think this was either the succeeding or the preceding class. And then there was also Tennessee, which this is just basically just another version of New Mexico, but oh well. You know what? Let's do an AI match. Why not? Oh, she was named after the 49th state. No, I'm sorry. She escorted President Woodrow Wilson to the Paris Peace Conference. But this is Wikipedia, so I don't know how accurate this is. Okay, so she has 4 triple 14-inch. You know what? Let me look at the guns. Okay, so these are 14-inch 45 caliber guns. Okay. So they're basically the same guns on the Texas. Okay. So early on, what I read to you from about the ship's history, I actually did it from the park, from the Naval Heritage and History. But what I just looked up is from Wikipedia, so I don't exactly know how accurate Wikipedia is. I don't think it's accurate at all, but I mean, I'm not gonna. So, like I said, this is AI, so. You know, a lot of people are asking for training rooms. It's like, man, you don't need a training room. You just need to practice in AI. AI is your training room. It's stupid, but he's gonna burn before I get a hit on him. Nope, got him.
And she's gone.
And she's gone. Okay, another ship that would be good at Tier 5 is West Virginia because she has 16-inch 45 caliber guns. Which you can get that for $40 as well. But that's neither here nor there. But she did escort one of the presidents to the Treaty of Versailles Conference in 1919, which that basically screwed Germany over.
The power of green and gold has taken our team to the lead.
Nuremberg thinks he's sneaky. Nuremberg, you dummy. So I did take a hit. It was off towards the rear of the ship. Now, like I said, this ship has the all or nothing concept. So she's pretty well armored. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get a hit on Hamburg, but
And she's gone.
I mean, I think my one and only viewer is asleep. I mean, this ship can turn pretty decent, not too bad, but I mean, it's a slow World War I era dreadnought. I mean, and we got the Rahuyo, and he's coming towards us. You jackass. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get all 4 turrets on her. And it's funny how she kind of dips in the water. That was a Citadel hit. Yeah, now she's running away. That's cute. Didn't get her that time, but that is my review on the U.S.S. Arizona. She's currently where she's at the day she was lost. She is a memorial, and only the survivors from Arizona are to be interred aboard her. If you're from a different ship, nope, sorry. You want to sign the Arizona. So, I want to wish you all a good night, and hope you all have a great day tomorrow. Good night.